All right, Kingsley, thank you so much. You can carry on. Please, class, I'm so sorry for that break. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Messi. Sorry for the breaking transmission. Okay, so business analysis. What is business analysis? We need to understand it to a very good extent, despite the fact that doctor explained or gave a key overview in the entire course, right? So we just need to understand what business analysis is, why a business ana why we should all be a business analyst and how we can be solution providers for organizations and all of that. So yes, business analysis helps organizations change and improve by identifying problems and opportunities. So going forward, I believe training, and also we had, I believe, a good number of this class. Going forward, for the course of this business analysis, you just see yourself as a solution provider, right? You're a problem solver to organizations. Organizations, every organization needs your expertise, need you to effect that change they are looking for. So business analysis in itself, uh, uh, what they are looking for, right? Okay. So yeah, it started as a part of IT system development, but now covers broader business change and improvement. So prior before now, everybody sees it like we are only seated in the IT space, but we can tell for a truth that every organization, every business in its expertise to ensure that processes, to ensure that all their operations, project, whatsoever is being handled properly, right? So that's why we are business analysts in as it is. All right. So there are competencies also for a business analyst. What are those competencies? We need you to deliver that change that the organization is looking for. So all the soft skills around how you speak, how you listen, how you communicate, all of these things are competencies that we all need to have, right? There's also a technical side of things for a business analyst. There's also the business knowledge in itself. Those competencies to make sure that we are working professionally and effectively. Right. Analytical thinking, problem solving, and empathy. Right. So it is very key that you communicate properly as a business analyst. You know, as BAs, right? So we can, drive that change that we are looking for. Some people don't need to write much of words. They use illustrations to drive their message. They use images to communicate competency. Analytical thinking. How do you approach issues or problems? How do you get to think it through? What are the strategies and how to go about it? You need to have that, right? So the business knowledge side of things, you need to understand how businesses work. You need to understand the industry trends. You need to understand the strategic goals for the organization. This builds the business knowledge, right? So, we have too many departments, we have too many processes that goes on in an organization. So how do you get to understand that process in that department and also to effect the change that that department is looking for? So that's why you see that I need to build competencies around business knowledge, right? We need to have and how all of it works. So you need to be laying hands on that, you know, trends as BA. So on the industry trend, what is happening itself. So the professional side of BA, the use of tools that we have, those tools, um, we need to build our competence around it. Microsoft Word, so many of us cannot use PowerPoint to um, Excel as it, and I believe it tools that will be the process modeling tools, Bizarre. It is expected that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, can anyone hear? Anyone hear me?
Yes, we can
Angola,
hear
please
you.
go ahead to record the calls.
All right, thank you very much. Sorry for the little break. It wasn't intentional, but we are back again. So yeah, BAs often develop these competencies through mentorship, through training like this and certifications, right? So I'm happy that we are here, and I'm very certain that at the end of this training, we are all going to be professional BAs in our different organizations, right? All right. So we'll be looking at the strategic context for a BA, right? What is strategy? So this is how a business plan to succeed in the long term. So we understand that there's a strategy department in our organization. They get to think it through. What do we do? How do we go about it? What's the long-term goals, vision, and all of that, right? They sit down, they figure all of these things out. So yes, and it is expected that you as a BA must understand the company's vision, their mission, their objectives, and also make proper changes to support them, right? Make sure that you effect that change they are looking for, understanding their vision, their mission. You sit well, you position well in that, in driving that change that the organization is looking for. Yeah, so there are tools that are used in this strategy analysis or strategic analysis. We understand the PESTLE, we understand the SWOT, PESTLE that has to do with the external factors that affect the organization, talking about the political side of things, the economical side of things, right? We all need to understand this to do strategy analysis properly, right? There's the SWOT side of things that I need to understand the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. All of this will ensure that you deliver that change the organization is looking for. Sorry, I'm seeing messages popping up. Let me look at it to see if it has to do with me. Okay, okay. All right, okay. I think this is some form of introduction or something. All right. Okay, Messi, you're in charge. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so let's proceed. So every BA should understand the use of this strategic analysis tools, right? You need to understand the strength, the weakness, and all of this. So yeah, you also need to use enterprise architecture to align processes and systems with the strategy of the organization. So Messi mentioned or read that, you know, I've implemented TOGAF that speaks to the open enterprise architecture, right? The open group framework for TOGAF. Yeah, it's very key that in that implementation, we get to understand what the organization is doing. We sit with every department. We understand what they are doing, what are their processes. We improve on them, and ensure that all the necessary tools and everything as it speaks to the organization is being delivered. Yeah, so their role ensures that every change fits into the bigger picture and helps the business grow and compete effectively. Okay, so the major side of things today is talking about the business analysis service framework. The business analysis service framework. All right, so this is the breadth of a BA, right? That the breadth of a BA has resulted in the development of an extensive toolkit of skills and techniques. However, clarifying business analysis itself is critical if the role and the benefit it can bring are to be recognized by the organization, right? So it is very key, like we've talked about tools, we've talked about skills, we've talked about technique. All of these things, need to be gotten or is a must-have for a BA to deliver that change that organization needs to recognize, needs to, that fits or solve the organization's problem. So yeah, the service framework also proposes a portfolio of service that may be offered by BAs, right? What I mean by BAs, sorry, is business analyst. So when I use it, don't feel odd or feel lost, right? So when I say BA while I'm teaching, you should understand that I'm speaking to business analysts, right? All right, so this service framework also provides a basis from which the business analyst role may be adapted to align with the organizational or project context. So this service framework, we need to understand it because it will create the basis for BAs to align with the organization or to align with the project as it is. So the context may impose standards that determine the required approaches to the BA work, the modeling techniques applied when analyzing business situation and system requirements, and also approved documentation templates. We've highlighted some areas, and we can't do without documentation because having that skill set, having technique, understanding business trends, all of these things, if you don't know how to properly document information, you are not doing well as a BA. So I've mentioned Microsoft tools, the Word, the Excel, the PowerPoint. It is very key that we get to learn that because documentation is a key role or a must-have for all of us, right? So the BASF, what is it about? To say there's a business analysis service framework, right? It acts as a guide or a toolbox for business analysts. It also explains what analysts do, how they do it, and why it is valuable, right? So you using this framework, it will explain how to go about driving or effecting that change or providing that solution, right? Why you should provide that solution, when, and all of these things, right? So this framework will really help us achieve that. And there are 6 core services in the BA service framework. The 6 core services are situation investigation and problem analysis. You need to sit in that, within that problem, listen to the organization or whosoever the person that you need to work for is. You need to sit down, you need to listen, you need to understand what they are talking about. It might be a document they sent to you, a requirement gathering document. You look at it, you read through, you understand it. Because yes, there's the situation investigation. You need to ask the right question. You need to analyze what the problem is. It is a core service in this framework. Situation investigation and problem analysis. Look at all the problems, analyze it properly, and ask the right questions, right? So the second one is talking about feasibility assessment and business case development. So how do you ask, what is the problem? After you've investigated, you need to look at the problem. How feasible is this? You need to build a business case that speaks or addresses the problem in itself, right? So you need to really do that assessment to understand how, which this framework will give us guides to how to go about all of this. Yeah, there's also business process improvement. You need to improve the processes for the HRO department. How are their processes carried out? What improvement can you offer to them? In the project management department, all of these things you need to, this framework is called to help us improve on the business process side of things. Requirements definition. Anyways, I wouldn't cite a scenario now. I'll go further on the other slides to explain some of these things. So you need to, like I said, some organizations might not really engage you in an interview session, but which is part of our job to, sit with the clients and, get to ask the right questions, get their requirements, define them properly, and all that. These are the core services for a BA. There's also business acceptance testing. There's also business change deployment. Because all this that we are talking about fits around change. Because you can't just come in and there's no change provided. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Talking about the situation investigation, we need to understand what is wrong in the business. Right? That, like I said, you need to sit with them, interview respectively the key or the head of department, right? The stakeholders in the organization. You sit with them, you understand what is wrong with their business. Where are they having lags? What do they need to improve on? What is that key problem they need to solve? You need to understand it. You don't need to assume. That's why you see that interview session is one of the techniques in BABOK to do business analysis. You need to ask the right questions, get your questions right, because when you don't ask the right questions, you wouldn't be understanding what the problem itself is. So you need to gather facts from different people, right? Sit with the stakeholders, do your proper investigation, and also, so you can be able to deliver this the problem. So yeah, yesterday or the first day, an organization sent their business requirement document. They are looking to deploy an ERP in the organization. So the first engagement with them, I was asking, right? So yeah, let me understand what are the departments that you need to improve on? They mentioned the HR, they mentioned their inventory, you know. So yeah, okay, what are the things you need in the HR department? They mentioned a few, the inventory person, mentioned. So I was like, okay, thank you very much. But can I get a document that can, that will guide me look through all of these things, which they sent it yesterday, and I am still looking at it with my team, so we'll just know how to approach this. If I don't get to engage them in that question to do my proper investigation, I won't be getting a clear picture of what is expected of me. Because I don't need to assume. In fact, so many projects will go wrong, or so many BAs will do wrong by assuming, right? If you assume, you feel the client will feel disappointed, like, why didn't you ask me? So many BAs will be like, they're supposed to tell me now. Why didn't you say it? But you did not act as a BA. You didn't do that requirement gathering properly. You didn't document it properly. So all of these things are what we all need to learn. So yeah, the assessment size of and business case, the feasibility and business case. You now ask yourself, can we fix this problem? Is it worth it? Like I said, the document, after we had that meeting, the document was sent, and I sat with my team. So guys, I shared my screen. So guys, look at this thing. Look at what these people are saying in the finance role, that they need XYZ, they need XYZ. Can we achieve this? Is it what we can do, or is it what the ERP that wants to deploy for them can solve? If it's not going to solve it, how do we make it solve it? Are we needing a web developer to, pretty much customize? So what are those customization that is needed? So all of these assessments, we need to understand it. We also need to create a business case with the cost, the benefit, the risk, and all of these things. So by today, tomorrow, I'll be concluding with my team. We all build a business case for them and also the finance or the commercials for deploying that project. So all of these things, you need to properly understand it as a BA, right? So there's also the third one, process improvement. You need to study how things work today. Like I said, there's a document, APQC, that, they keep updating it as time goes on, because processes change. The way we do things before is not the way things are done. In fact, as of 5 years ago, 7 years ago, the way businesses run is not what we are doing today. There's improvements in every side of things. So if you don't understand what is the trendy thing now as a BA, you can't provide that solution that is needed, because you might be dragging the business back. You need to understand how things are working today, what is the recent trend, what is the improvement, what has improved in that department, how do you improve the processes in that department, right? Should we be writing paper all around? Is there no latest form of doing it? There should be a latest form of doing it. What is that thing? How do they do it? What is that software they use today? Right? So we need to understand all of that. I need to rush because I think I don't have bulk time to be explaining and all that. So yeah, you need to find ways to do these things better, faster, and cheaper. Like I said, we want to send the document today. You don't need to, unlike some years, I was in an organization some years ago, and I still see these people taking papers around, like to sign, they wanted to buy something. The procurement team raised that proposal, and I saw them give it to, I think, either a secretary or something. The person has to walk all the way to the third floor to sit or to give the finance person to sign. And I was like asking myself, why should we have this? Why can't we just do this thing online? Send this to the finance person. He looks at it, signs it immediately. You're getting it without having to stress somebody. Okay, what if this guy goes and it is raining? You understand? So there should be faster way of doing things and cheaper ways to achieve results. So the requirement definition, you need to write down exactly what the solution should do. Like I said, after analyzing, assessing what this the organization sent, document they sent, we need to write down exactly what the solution should do. So preset by preset, we take it, okay, for HRO, this module, this application in the ERP will do this, this is how it does, and after all of these things, we need to talk to the user of the ERP. So the HRO, head of HRO and the team, we sit with them, then we gather their requirements, we configure the application or the ERP to address their key problem in itself, right? So all of these things are key core services that we need to have. All right, there's the acceptance testing also, that you make sure that the solution works correctly. So what we do is, after we have configured, we now go live by, okay, you come, see, this is how this works. We test it and we make sure that it is addressing the organization now needs. And also we support them to make sure that they learn how to use this thing, because it's not easy for people to change. In fact, the organization I told you that we went to deploy software for them, that we are doing the conventional way of things. Somebody will get to take it to the HRO will now sign. You take it to finance will sign, before the money is released, all of these processes, when we can have these things done quickly, right? So yeah, after we have implemented, we need to make sure that it's working correctly. We need to find out, fix the problems, before going live, right? That's the acceptance testing side of things. So the change deployment, like I said, we need to support people. We need to help them adjust to the use of the system. We need to make sure that the system is working, right? One thing is you deploying, one thing is the users also to accept that change that has been offered. Because they'll be like, but I don't do this thing before now. We've been working, we've been achieving results. Why do I need to use this software? This thing is stressing me. I cannot, it is very difficult for some people to change or to adopt that change that has come. So that's why there's the training side of things. That's why there's the support side of things. As a BA, you'll be patient to, guide them, support them, because changing immediately, it's not that easy. Or accepting a new way of doing things is not easy for so many people. All right. So like I talked about the stakeholder engagement, you need to engage them. You now need to align that strategy that they have, align the solution with them. So every BA works with many people. They manage relationship and align different views. We can't do without meeting people. In fact, we can't do without talking. That's why communication is a key aspect for a BA, right? You sit with stakeholders in every organization, you get to understand how you can come in and how to drive that solution. So yeah, this framework also helps analysts pick work into business goals. Like I said, we talked about the other slide was talking about you understanding the vision, the mission, the objective, and the goal of the organization. So whatever solution that you have, you need to align it with what the vision of the organization is, what the goal of the organization is, right? You also need to adapt to different projects and needs. So aligning all of this to the organizational goals and objectives is another side for a BA. So why are we using this framework? Why does the business analysis service framework matter? It brings clarity to the business analyst role. I am happy that we are going through this course. At least I am, for the first time, you need to understand this framework. It matters a lot because it brings clarity to the business analyst role. It supports career growth. It helps deliver real value through change, right? So there's no way that I've mentioned this over time, right? It is very key that we understand this framework. Okay, I think this is the last slide. Before I take questions, let me just still throw more light on this before I take your question, right? So, let me reiterate some things I have said before. So this business analyst service framework, it matters a lot. We've talked about key competencies. We've talked about you understanding your strategic, the strategy of the organization, you understanding how to improve processes in the organization. All of this brings clarity for your role, right? There's interview session that you need to do your proper investigation. You need to do your proper documentation. All of this will help us deliver real value. All of this will help also help us to grow. So, like I said, in this, the clients that I'll be working with, I think we'll be closing up the deal by next week, and we'll get to start the deployment in itself, right? So there's always a series of engagement, series of sitting with the stakeholders, right? Series of analysis, strategy analysis, implementation analysis, the business analyst role in itself, proper understanding what the problem is, communication, documentation, use of tools and techniques to drive effectively what your role is. So that's why I like this framework that we are treating today. I believe in the further sessions, we'll get to break so many areas for a clear understanding. So this framework brings clarity, it supports our career growth, it also helps to deliver real value through change. All right, so can I get your questions? It's time for question and answer. So let me get your thoughts. If there's something that is not clear enough, if there's something I'll need to explain further, please draw my attention to it. Messi, are we opening the mic or we are using the chat box?
They are free to use the chat box, yes, or if they want to speak, they can also speak.
All right, please let me get your question. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for the class. It was really, it was an eye-opener given the kind of business I do. I just realized that I have been doing business analysis over the years without knowing it.
Exactly.
Yes, sir, thank you so much. My question would be, if you're not a business analyst attached to an organization, as in you don't have a paid employment attached to an organization, you were called in as a business analyst. Given what you mentioned, and the company is asking for a time frame, I'm trying to point out the issues I've had over the years.
Okay.
The company is trying to say, oh, we want to get this over in 2 weeks. And as a business analyst, you need to, identify the problem, investigate, offer, before you offer solutions. And the company has already made up their mind on what they're supposed to go for. And you come in and you find out that that would not work. And because of that, they say, oh, okay, because you cannot work with this, they feel, oh, you can't work with this particular solution. Maybe that's why you are rejecting it, or I don't know if
Yeah,
you
I get
understand.
that.
Yeah.
I
And
get that.
so because of that, they also tend not to pay you anymore, time wasted and, so how do we come in such cases? Because let me give you context. I'm an accountant and I help business owners build accounting, build their operations into accounting softwares,
Okay,
right? So it
nice,
makes
beautiful.
easy for them. So I've had several cases where you come in and say, oh, it's this one that was recommended. Please look at it and tell us, it looks like they've had that conviction that is supposed to work for them. And you come in and you say it doesn't work, it's not going to work. So in those cases where you have to reject solutions, what do you do? I mean, you're also preferring what will work, but the company has made up their mind. So as a business analyst, you just go ahead and work with what they've given you because you have been called in, you have probably been given an advance payment, So please, what do you do in such
All right.
scenarios?
Okay, thank you very much. So there's one of my boss, my mentor, that will always tell you that every project will go wrong without a BA. Yes, we have a certified project manager, but that project might not go successfully well. It's not like the project will not be done. However, without a BA, that project might go wrong, right? Now, pricing or answering your questions, some organizations or stakeholders do not understand the fact that there are ways, there are approaches to things, right? So they get to want to push you, and that's why it's expected for a BA to communicate properly. So in that, to answer your question, you now do your analysis properly, put it up to them, document it properly, tell them that you see, this is how this should fly. If it doesn't go like this, tell them the problem and also, try to give them how you can come in. It's not something that you just rush into. However, we need some time. Just try to give them your own timeline that you know that this can fly. But communicate those bottlenecks that will be encountered, right? Type instances for them, because once they're able to communicate, trust me, they will understand, because they wouldn't want that money they paid to just waste. They need the solution. That's why they need your service. If you're able to communicate properly, break it down for them. Like it's not rocket science. This is it. This is how to go about it. This is what to do. And trust me, they will give you that required time. However, every business have their own timeline, but you don't need to stretch it. You just need to deliver that value that is expected. I don't know if I answered the question. Hello, madam.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So do well to document properly, preset by preset. Do your analysis. That's why you're an analyst. Just put it to them, and trust me, they'll get to understand where you're going and where what you want to do. That's why it's professional. Thank you for your understanding. All right, first off, I think I saw your hand up. First off.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yeah, thank you for this session. My question is about the tools for the business analysis. I think, like you talked about the PowerPoint and the Excel.
Yes.
So, in this class, is there going to be a room for one to improve on those tools? And I believe it's not only those tools that will be needed for this business analysis, because I've had some periphery of the other tools that will be needed. So I think for the tools, majorly expertising on those tools will be very key. So how are we going to, during this course of this training, are we going to have that room for this tools training and how to utilize them?
Yes, please. So there's BABOK, Business Analysis Book of Knowledge. In BABOK, we'll have 50 techniques to doing business analysis. Like our madam that just spoke before now, she said in fact, we all have been doing business analysis in one way or the other. But we didn't professionally understand that we are doing this. So in BABOK, there are 50 techniques. We have the interview, we have the process modeling, we have the mind map, we have the benchmarking, brainstorming, all of these things are things we do in one way or the other. But BABOK will tell you, or as a BA, you understand that there are tools that will be needed to do those things, right? So for brainstorming, for mind mapping, we have a tool called XMind, right? As a BA, I engage a client the next minute. I don't need to be jotting things down like word to word what the client is saying. It's expected that I work professionally. How do I do that? I use my tool. Any process they are explaining, I don't need to be writing number one, blah, 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 number two. No, because you need to be calling back the client to repeat one thing over and over again for it to be clear. But as a BA, while he or she is talking, you have your tool with you and you're just picking those points. You can be using images or illustrations to capture your message. And at the end of the day, you're sitting back with your team to brainstorm or on your own to brainstorm, because when you gather those information, you put it in front of you, open your laptop, and you look at it and see the problems and the solution to solve them or how to go about them. So in the course of this training, I believe we will learn the use of some tools. We need to learn Trello. We need to learn Bizarre. We will be learning XMind. All of these tools, we use them as BAs, right? I believe I've answered your question. Hello, Mr. Festus. Hello, are you there?
Yes. I've reacted. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. I think I saw Timothy's hand. So, Timothy, can I get to hear from you?
All right, good morning, and thank you for this opener. So my question is, the BA role, is he always in-house or always outsourced? And then, so as a BA, do you look to be employed, or you start your own team and then work as consultant to businesses? So that's my question. I don't know if you understand that.
So I get your question, right? Yes, pretty much in context, consultant, yeah, because consulting you, they need you to solve their problem. So as a BA, yeah, and it's also expected that every organization should have a BA. So it all depends on you as a person, how you want to work. If an organization can pay you well to work for them, fine, right? If you want to work remotely on your own, because yeah, BAs are hotcakes abroad. You can sit back in your house, work as a self-employed person. However, you're working for different organizations at the same time, not just sitting in one organization and just working for them alone. So you can also position yourself to be as a consultant, that you have your team, experienced professionals that can work with you to drive or deliver solutions for organizations. So it's all up for you, depending on what works for you as a person. Does that answer your question?
Yes, very well. Thank you. Very well. Thank you. I think I would like to know more on the consultancy side and how to work with clients remotely.
That's fine. So build yourself properly, get the necessary certification,
Hello, Kingsley, are you there? Hello, Kingsley, are you there? Please, if you can hear me, indicate in the chat room. I think the network has locked him out.
I think network have logged him out. We are not, well, we are hearing you.
All right, thank you so much. Please be patient while he's back. Though we have few minutes to end this very session and go into the next.